Hi guys, I tried recording this video last night. Unfortunately, the camera died on me and the video was getting a little bit too lengthy, so what I decided to do was break it up into two parts. The first part being a little bit more of the basic things that you do need to compete in a bikini fitness competition. I'm currently 12 weeks out from my next show, so I'm starting to think about things that I need to purchase, planning ahead of time, making sure I have everything so I'm not scrambling around last minute trying to find these things. So I made a pretty lengthy list. I divided it into two parts, and here's the first part. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is a gym membership. Some people may think that they prefer to do it at home. If you have an at-home gym, great. Personally though, I get more motivated when I am physically in a gym. I just like the environment and I just can't imagine training from home. I do live in an apartment, so creating an at-home gym would be virtually impossible. There's not much space for that, so it really motivates me just to go and get my workouts done. As I said though, if you do have an at-home gym and it has more equipment, a lot of weights and that type of thing, you might be able to manage without it, but I think for the most part, most of us would require a gym membership. So just price-wise, what you'd be probably looking at is roughly $10 to $50 here in Toronto. I know there are $10 gyms that have just more minimal equipment. Some other gyms have more extensive equipment, but there are cheaper gym options. You don't have to be spending $100 per month on your membership. Explore, see what's going to work best for you. Some people prefer something closer to them than price, so whatever works for you, look into it, and just I would recommend signing up for the gym if you do want to compete. Second thing is a pretty obvious thing, but I feel like it is something I do want to go over just because it is an expense that does add up. That would be food. You will be eating lots of protein, which tends to be a little bit more costly than any other food normally is. So I think for me personally, I spend roughly $150 to $200 per month on my food. I am 12 weeks out, so I am eating more food than I will be, for example, the closer I get to the show. So I am spending a little bit more. The price may decrease a little bit the closer I get, but it all depends. I would give a ballpark of $100 to $200 per month for that. If you are living at home with your family and they're not really into the healthy dieting, you will realize quickly how much you will be having to spend on your own food. So it might be a little bit shocking for some at first, so I did want to cover that it is an expense you do want to prepare for, because proper nutrition is one of the main, well, it is the main thing along with working out to getting to that fitness competition physique. Third thing, also optional. I know some people have come up to me and asked me whether I decided to go with this option or not, and that would be hiring a coach. I have personally hired a coach. I work with her. She designs my workouts, lets me know what my macros are, which is basically the amount of food I can eat per day of carbs, fats, and proteins. Probably get into that a little bit more in another video, but that's what she does do for me, and it does work for me. I have been working out prior to deciding to compete a couple of years, so I know the basics of workouts and healthy eating, but I feel like competing in an actual fitness competition is a total new ball game. So I wanted someone more experienced, someone who knows what she's doing, or he. In my case, it's just a she, but yeah, so I just like having the guidance of somebody informing me what stages of prep I should be doing what, and just somebody that it kind of motivates you not to fall off track. When there's somebody that you're paying that expects the results from you that you're expecting, I think that you do tend to stick to it a little better than just doing it on your own, maybe second guessing yourself or just not going through with it. So I feel like once you hire a trainer, it's a commitment, you got to get through it, and that's what works with me. I'm very, I get committed in that kind of a environment, or when I have somebody on my ass, pretty much. So once again, it's not something you necessarily need, but if you are fairly new to competing, or you have been training but you're just first competition, I would strongly recommend doing your research, finding a coach that has the same goals for you as you imagine. You don't want to be stuck with a coach that's starving you on a diet that doesn't consist of enough calories or anything like that. So do your research, maybe look into who they have trained in the past, ask them how they liked their coaching, and just get a feel for it before you do decide who you want to hire. I feel that more expensive does not always mean better quality. Kind of tied into coach. If you do hire a coach, you may not necessarily want to go with any of these options, but that would be hiring a trainer or a posing coach. My coach does also do the posing with me, so I have never hired a posing coach. But if you are doing a first competition and you want just more practice, I would strongly recommend hiring somebody to do the posing with you, or for a cheaper option, or it may not be cheaper, but it's a more communal option. I know federations do also offer posing sessions. They offer them, I think, a little more frequently this year, I've noticed, than in the past, and it's just great to get an idea of what is expected of your federation, how the posing should look, and just gives you more comfort for the day of. I mean, you don't want to go on stage and completely not know what to do with your body, even though you're super shredded, you look great. Like, the overall package is what you are being judged on. So it could be an investment that in the long run will benefit you. So definitely something to look into. And in terms of the trainer, if you want more assistance with your form, if you want something more hands-on, you want to be shown the workouts, want to be pushed, motivated, then hiring a trainer might be a good idea. But then again, it's not something you necessarily need. When I don't know a certain workout, or I feel like I'm doing the workout wrong, maybe my form's wrong, I just research it. I look at videos, see how the form of professionals is. That wasn't grammatically correct, but you know what I mean. So once again, it's preference. If you feel that having a trainer will motivate you, help you stick to your goals, then it could be a great investment in the long run. Fifth thing, supplements and vitamins. When on prep, some of your foods may be very restricted. You may be eating pretty much the same basic things like chicken, fish, lean meats, vegetables, barely any fruit. So you will want to get proper supplementation and vitamins for the ones that you are lacking during prep. It also depends what kind of a diet you will be following during your prep. My first prep was a little bit more restrictive. This one's a little bit more of a balanced, flexible diet, so I can incorporate a lot more nutrients from other foods. But still, supplementation is always good. You don't want to be lacking any nutrients, especially when you're training your body more than the average person would normally do. Once again, my coach does help me out with the supplementation, so I'm pretty lucky there, but just the basics. You can even look into it, go into a health store, ask the dietitian that's there, even your doctor, go to your doctor, let them know that you're doing more physical activity, what does he recommend you taking. So for supplementation, like protein, BCAAs, and pre-workouts, and then plus the vitamins, I would budget. It's really hard to budget for this because it depends what you need, every person might have different supplementation routines, but I would budget for at least $150, kind of startup. But that being said, like for example, I bought this vitamin C and it's 500 tablets, so this is going to last me a pretty long time. It's not something you're going to have to be buying every prep, but it is something for a startup. If you are doing your first competition, then it is a cost that you do want to incorporate in your budgeting. Sixth thing would be, once you have chosen the federation you're going to compete in, you would have to get a membership with them. So I live in Toronto, so it's in Ontario. I compete with the OPA, which is the Ontario Physique Association, and they charge $100 per year for their membership. That's a one-time fee for the year, but come next year you have to purchase another one. But it allows you to compete in as many shows as you'd like within that year. So one-time fee, $100 here in Ontario for the OPA. Seventh thing, once you have chosen your federation and you got your membership, you have to choose the show that you will be competing in, and for the show there's also a fee. Once you choose a show, you could probably search online, see whether there's an online payment option ahead of time. If not, normally it is done at the athletes meeting the day before you compete. So I believe I paid between $80 and $100. Just to be safe, I'll say $100. So budget for $100, and that is per class. So if you were competing in bikini and figure as well, that would be $100 for figure, $100 for bikini. So $200 in total. I only did one class, bikini, so I only paid $100. But also something to look into, if you're doing two different classes, then you should budget for a little bit more than just one. Eighth thing, a little more exciting. I'll probably do a little bit more of an informative video about choosing your bikini later on, but I would suggest doing this a little bit more in advance. You don't want to leave this to the last minute. There's two options. You could probably either order your bikini online, or the second option, find a retailer in your area or closer by, so that you refrain from having to spend on the shipping. I ordered my online. This is my first one. So these are the bottoms. These are the top. This is the top. So this was my first bikini. I'm so in love with it. It's super cute, very blinged out for me. I don't normally wear color, but I think the blue was a nice option with the blonde hair. Bikinis can get pretty pricey. I would say the starting cost for this is $150, and it could, on average, I think it'd be up to $350. But keep in mind, if you wanted even more blingy, there are suits that are $500 plus, so it could get fairly expensive, depending on what you want, depending on how many connectors you want. So I just have these ones on the bottom, and in the middle, but the more connectors, the more pricey it is. Also, the more stones, the pricier it can get. But what I actually did was I ordered this suit plain, so it actually didn't have any of these jewels on them at the time, and I went to a jewelry like beading store and purchased just the crystals and glued them on myself. I've always been fairly do-it-yourself, so I thought it would be a fun idea for me. I ordered my suit way in advance, so I had the time to sit there and glue every piece on. But if you are running a little bit closer to your show date, I would suggest just purchasing it completely finished. You don't want to order a suit online, have it come in, and it not fit properly, and then you have to spend the time on getting adjustments and then having to worry about crystallization could get a little bit overwhelming, and if you're not very artsy, you may not enjoy doing this yourself. The ninth thing on the list of things you would probably need to get, also something I would suggest getting sooner as opposed to later, is your competition heels. These are mine, fairly simple, just clear stripper shoes. So mine has the strap on the back. Most federations, it doesn't matter whether you have a strap or not, you can have it without. I was just terrified I would fall on my face, so I did get the support in the back. Just looks like this. Has some silver on it, but you can also get a little bit of crystallization I've seen, but it does have to be clear and very simple. That's for my federation. Depending on your federation, you have to look into it. I know some federations do allow a nude heel as well. I think that's more in the States, but for here, just clear, simple stripper heels. I actually did just go to a adult store nearby and just pick these up. In the States, they're fairly cheaper, I would say. I think they run between $40 and $50 when I was checking online. Here, I had the receipt in the box, actually. I just kept it in there, and I actually spent $85 on them, so it's a little bit more. To save a couple bucks, I would recommend maybe checking online, seeing whether with the shoe and the shipping, it could come out a little bit less than that. If you have the time ahead of your show, by all means check, but if you do want to get them sooner, I would go to the closest store and pick them up, because you do want to practice walking in them. They are a little bit more uncomfortable and very high, so it does take some time getting used to. You don't want to look wobbly walking on stage. 10th thing, and the final thing for part 1 of the video, is the bling. So for fitness competitions, you don't really want to be wearing anything on your neck, nothing that will take away from your overall physique. So bracelets, earrings, and rings. I went to just a store in the mall and picked up this bracelet. Very blingy, very shiny, reflects off the light on the stage really well. Just some dangly earrings. I thought dangly would suit my face a little bit more than hoops would, so I picked these up. Very nice, more dressy than your normal pair of earrings, and a little pricier too. I think for these ones I spent, I think it was between $60 and $70. So I invested in that. But once again, if you wanted to save some money on that, I would recommend maybe checking Amazon, looking online. There's some competition jewelry companies that may be a little bit less expensive. If I do decide to get more jewelry, that's probably what I do, just because I feel like malls are a little bit overpriced. But I was running on time. I was very close to my show date when I was looking for these, so I ended up having to spend a little bit more. But it looked great, and I mean, I can reuse it for my next show, so not too worried about that. That concludes the first part of the video. Most of the items are fairly straightforward, basic things that you need for bikini competitions. But feel free to like the video, subscribe, and stay tuned for part 2. I'll be getting into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty of what you'll be needing closer to the show date, for your show date, more beauty, I guess, related items. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.